So I told family and friends, but what about the day job? I mean, could I tell audiences? Could I do jokes about it?
So, cancer, hey, can't live with it, can't live without it. No, die without it, die with it, die. Tough crowd, tough subject. Is this on?
When you've got cancer, you just see it everywhere. Every newspaper always seems to have a lovely cancer moment, and it just seems to be more and more ridiculous.
Can you put your hands together for André Vincent?
So I started introducing a few cancer gags into the act, subtly at first, but my word, it got some strange reactions from the audience.
I got cancer. Cool. Thanks very much. Never had that action before. I got cancer. Good call.
Even better, though, was when I looked back at this footage, I noticed that the bloke in the middle there with the black shirt, when he heard I had cancer, he threw a cigarette. Now that's a heckle.
Me and my tumour, yeah!
Now, I know some of you are thinking, well, it's fine for you to make jokes about cancer, you've had it. But I'm sure it's not funny to people whose family have died or friends have died of cancer. Is it funny to them?
It is funny. Well, it's not funny, it's sometimes funny and it's sometimes horrible. And sometimes it's funny whilst it's horrible. And, you know, I lost my father to bone cancer, and that took about between 7 and 8 years, and it was an excruciating thing to be witness to, because it just went on for so long and he had increasing, you know, a lot of suffering. But during all that, lots of funny things happened, that including, you know, he and my entire family found hilarious. I mean, I thought, that's it, you know, he's gone. And we all actually went off on a holiday, you know, and that I'd seen as his last holiday. And we came back, and about 2 weeks after we got back from the holiday, my dad rang me up and he said, I've just been for a test, some test results have just come back, and since that holiday my cancer cell count has plummeted. And in the same conversation said, look, I've got a Thompson's holiday brochure here. And I think he had about 15 last holidays.
So all in all, there was plenty of comedy material to play with, and I thought there's enough here to do a live theatre show. And one of the things I thought I'd put in the show was my operation, and so I spoke to Mr. Nathan about filming it, and I thought he'd generally flip, but he didn't. He was like, what, you want to film it? That would be brilliant. But first he showed me what he was going to take out.
This is normal kidney, where in your case most of the kidney tissue is replaced with cancer.
When you tell people that, you know, they have a cancerous tumour wherever, are most people immediately sort of like, you know, well, that's it? Or I know you sort of tell people immediately that they've got more chance of being hit by a bus.
About a third of them take it very pragmatically and say, right, okay, I've got this, what's the solution or what's the next step? Another third of them, they just don't want to hear, so the message hasn't sunk, and usually it means I need to meet them again with the family. And a small minority, about 15 to 20%, just can't take it. They sweat, there are tears in their eyes, and they think, okay, this is the end of my life, that's it. And out of them, I'm very sad to say, you know, 1 or 2% do not come back, and simply because they just don't want to accept it.
Well, I totally accepted it. With toothbrush and pyjamas in a bag, I went down to the Whittington's hospital to have the whole of my kidney taken out. So me and everybody else on this ward were waiting to have their operation for cancer. And it was sort of like that prison mentality. You know in films you see it, like the bigger the crime, the more respect you get. It was the same here. Like the bigger the cancer, the more sort of higher you were within the ward. It was like me and a guy with bowel cancer, we were about the same. And then a guy with bladder cancer, he was a little bit higher. Guy with lung cancer, you're the daddy. Testicular, poof, you're my bitch. With a few hours to go to my operation, I began to think about my own mortality. But those thoughts were soon taken away when the hospital administration gave me a disclaimer form that I had to sign, saying that throughout the operation I would be in charge of the camera. So I started teasing the anaesthetist about the fact that everybody in the hospital had a medical humour bypass and that nobody understood comedy whatsoever. So the anaesthetist has given me this injection and says to me on the way to the theatre, what I want you to do is count down from 10 to 5. And when you get to 5, open your eyes, give me the thumbs up, make sure you're feeling fine. Well, I close my eyes, I count down from 10 to 5, and when I open my eyes, I see this. Not now! I'm about to be operated on. I mean, there's a time for comedy. Mr. Nathan said to me that the operation would take about an hour and a half. Unfortunately, after they had opened me up and seen the actual size of my kidney, it would take nearly 5 hours. The reason being, the average kidney is usually about 1.5 pounds. My piece of offal weighed 7 pounds, over 3 bags of sugar.
When you take something like that out of your body, ladies and gentlemen, I can assure you, look, it leaves one hell of a big hole. There it is there. That's when they take 7 pounds out. And the sad thing is, that's actually my hand holding the crowbar. It was so big, I had to fucking... I love the fact that people at the back of the room are walking out, because they can't... And so they took it out. Now, these are what I call the money shots. They're just for me, ladies and gentlemen. Now, through this 5.5 hour operation, ladies and gentlemen, they never removed 1 ounce of fat from me. How wrong is that? That wasn't too queasy, was it? No, I think most of you took... Oh, stripy jumper's gone. Too queasy for him. He just doesn't like the subject generally, does he? Well, that's absolutely, but there's people like him I want to talk to about. Because there's so many the references that I've got on what's happened. It's for him and people like him. That he's got to be aware of, we've got to say it and talk about it, otherwise it's just always going to be like this, isn't it?
On the show itself, the one-liners, the acts that you pick on, or the things that were funny. But I still feel that when you start talking about other people and the way they handled it, that you're a bit condescending. You need just to be a little bit more considerate. If you're not, you're going to irritate people and think, well, what an obnoxious little prank. Well,
Maybe that's the way I'm trying to do it then. Maybe I'm saying, look, I'm an obnoxious little prat, so people will just wake up and just smell the coffee a bit. Because surely, I mean, even you said, when you left the show, you actually said, well, you know, I can say cancer now.
Oh yeah, true. I did find it very hard when actually speaking to you about it. I didn't infer the word cancer. Again, that's my way of handling it. I mean, so therefore, if you know that I can't handle it at times, you know the sort of person that I am, and you can be considerate to me, why be hard on the people that also can't say the word and everything else? I know you mean well, and I'm just hoping it comes over well.
Me too. What, you've had somebody with cancer?
No, I had testicular cancer.
You had testicular cancer? And you felt the same, that people treated you like you were an invalid and, you know, all sort of treated you with kid gloves?
Kinda, yeah.
Yeah, it's, you know, and they're the sort of things that we've sort of got to get over.
While I was recuperating after the operation, a hospital visitor came up and sat on the end of my bed and just started talking to me. And she actually looked at me and said, remember, Mr. Vincent, cancer's a word, not a sentence. And I just couldn't believe that this stranger would say such a thing to me. And I actually looked at her and said, yeah, and I think you'll find it's a star sign and a tropic. But apart from that, I have to say, the nursing staff were brilliant.
My operation was 5.5 hours. Then I went 6 hours into intensive care. So yeah, so I was away from the ward for 11 hours, and when I got back, they'd given my bed up to somebody else. So my stuff had disappeared. I asked where my stuff was, and they said, and they brought it back in black pin liners. And they said, oh yeah, when people go off to be operated on, yeah, we put it in pin liners. No, hold on, they don't take your stuff away, there's a load of old bollocks. And I called back this nurse, and I said, look, you know, you've given my bed away, my stuff had gone, you'd thought I'd die, didn't you? I swear to God, this nurse went, no, yeah, we did, yeah. And that was it. I went in on the Friday, and I came out on the Monday. This is a long weekend of cancer. I mean, I didn't go bald, I didn't have something eating me up inside, and I didn't meet Mickey Mouse. I don't know. What happened? That wasn't the grim, protracted experience that I'd read about, that I was told about, and frankly, I was expecting. Which I'm not complaining about.